If my case concludes, is it really over? Well, that depends on a whole lot of things. It depends on how your case was concluded. The best conclusions on a case is that it gets dismissed. State files a motion to dismiss, or your attorney advocates on a motion to dismiss and it gets granted. And at that point, you're done. You're completely done. You owe the court no more obligation. So in that situation, it's finally over. But the next step is then trying to get the arrest expunged if you can. That's the best way to get your case concluded. Now, another way of getting a case concluded is a diversion agreement. If your case is concluded by a diversion agreement, that means you and the state of Indiana got into an agreement that they would not necessarily take you to trial on a case or have you plead guilty on a case to get a conviction, to allow you the opportunity to prove to them that you can do whatever you need to do, paying a fee, taking classes, or more. And if you complete that successfully, then your case will get dismissed by the state. So in that situation, your case is not really concluded, and it's not really over if you get into a diversion agreement. Courts will normally set it out for what's called compliance hearings, so that way you can show proof of your completion of what the terms are of that diversion agreement, because that's what you need to do. A lot of counties will have you pay what's called a diversion user fee, so you have to pay that and show proof that you paid it. Get a receipt from the clerk's office that you paid that fee. Another way is if you have to do community service or something like that as part of the diversion agreement. If you have to go to a nonprofit agency, do your community service work, show proof that that's completed, things like that. A lot of them will also want letters on the agency letterhead showing proof that you've completed it. Then you turn that into the court, you show them that you've completed that portion of the diversion agreement. And again, there are a number of things that a prosecutor can have you do or that can be negotiated for. If it's a drug-related offense, for example, they might have you take substance abuse courses. If it's a theft case, so shoplifting, and it's your first time getting arrested for it, they may have you take theft classes or behavioral modification classes is usually what they'll call them. So there's a number of things that you'd have to do. And then at that point, your case is not concluded because remember, the prosecutor is just withholding prosecuting on your case. That means if you don't do what you're supposed to do, you don't complete your classes or do your community service, things like that, then they can bring your case back. Another thing too with diversion agreements is usually they'll have a provision. So if you get arrested on a new offense for 1 or 2 years, then again, they can also bring your case back. So at that point, your case is not over even once there is a diversion agreement and you've completed some terms. Now, another way your case can conclude is either you take a plea or you go to trial and you're convicted of an offense. And if you're ordered to do probation or home detention or something like that. When that happens, yeah, your case is over in the sense that you've pled guilty or you've been convicted, but you're still under the court's supervision. So if you're on probation, you have to do a number of things while you're on probation. If you're on home detention, you have to serve that sentence at home. At that point, the court is monitoring your progress. Your case is not over until you're completely done with probation and you're completely done with your sentence. In that situation, your case is not concluded until your very last day of probation or home detention. Now, another way your case is concluded is you go to trial and you're found not guilty. At that point, the case is completely done and over with. You're found not guilty, and the state of Indiana cannot bring the case back up anymore. You've won. They don't get another bite at the apple in that situation if you're found not guilty. They don't get to take you to another jury trial, do a bench trial in front of a judge. So that's another way that a case can be concluded. So again, there are certain situations where your case is completely over with, whether it's dismissed or you're found not guilty. There's other situations where simply by you being found guilty or taking a plea, that doesn't mean your case is over with. So there are some situations where if you're in a diversion agreement, you're on probation, you're on home detention, your case isn't over with until the very last day of your sentence. So if you have any more questions, if you want to know if your case is completely over with or not, please call us at the Marc Lopez Law Firm at 317-632-3642. And remember, always plead the fifth.